Hello, my friends. Happy Sunday today. I hope you're having a peaceful, wonderful day. I want to dive in a little deeper about stepping out of the matrix. The matrix is tricky, as I'm sure you know, and you cannot just step out of it because what are you going to step into? I know in the very beginning, there is trying to, untangle yourself from the matrix by using matrix tools or ways, with force or with the mind. And there might very well be a place for that in the beginning, just to untangle from it all. It's like you need some hands on, just to kind of open it up a little bit. So that's all good. I I don't think there are any specific steps you can take because I do believe it is an individual thing for each one of us where we may go through steps and stages that help us untangle a little more and a little more and a little more. So one person may do it here a lot and another one may start here. So therefore, I wouldn't say there are specific steps. And I do appreciate there was a question from one of you, and I really, really appreciate that because I want to address it to the best of my ability and also be very frank with you. It's like I don't know. I know what I know in the moment. I know what's true in my own experience. And then when I get insights and downloads, I can share those. And then each one of us will pick out what resonates for each one of us. And the resonance is something that is happening inside where you feel like a yes or an opening or this resonance. And that is a very good place to start. But when we do step out of the matrix, whatever that is, I mean, how do you take a step out of the matrix when everything in your life, in your mind, in your body, it's all infiltrated by matrix, it's all run by the matrix. So it's not just that you can step out of it and then it's over. Wouldn't that be great? But what I want to share today is like when we step out of it, what do we step into? Right? You're here and you want to get out of it. Well, when you get out of it, you need to land somewhere else. And that is, I think, the important part to really embody and wake up to and realize the true nature of who you are, which is not the matrix. And so, in the beginning, when we're very identified with the matrix, of course, we will use matrix tools and practices to get out of it. Very fine, nothing wrong with that. But over time, we need to let go of those too. Um, yeah, I mean, you use it as long as you need it, but in knowing that this is not the goal. It's a means to get to the goal, which is freedom, which is being fully um, embodied in your true nature, in your soul connection. And that's why I'm saying it's going to look very different for each of us because some people have a very strong grip here and others may not have that at all. And they may be stuck over here. So we need to address the big energies that have a grip on us, that fill us up with, fear and anger and all these feelings. They are part of the matrix and they certainly need to be addressed. We're not talking about bypassing, because if you bypass anything in the matrix, you can be sure that you still land in the matrix. You're not free. And that's why it's very important to do all the deep work, the somatic work, the deep spiritual work to help unhook from the grip. So when we unhook, there is like a freedom, right? There is an energy release, and that allows us to drop in here to who we are. And that's why when we step out of the matrix, we need to land in our true being, which is free from the matrix, which has never been caught by the matrix and never can be. Because we have been so identified with the matrix, we have not paid enough attention to our true being, which is always free and is definitely always free from the matrix. So, if we want some steps, I would say, and I have shared a lot of videos on this, but there's something really important about becoming aware where you are still gripping. So, awareness, spending time noticing the unconscious beliefs and the unconscious emotional attachments. If we don't work with them and become aware of them and make them conscious, we are still, rotating around, swirling around in the matrix in the mind, trying, to suppress things consciously or unconsciously. So one of the first steps is to really become aware of the matrix and how we are connected to it and identified to it. And right now, I'm actually being reminded that I did do a little video, a very short video. I think it was called Four Steps to Get Out of the Matrix. And it's going to be right here in the link. So, and I don't remember them because I never remember what I talk about unless it just shows up. So this is definitely one of them. So we need to become aware of that. And then when we see that, then we need to start making a choice and say, hey, do I want to continue doing that? Right? And that's where a lot of the work starts. That's when we do the deep inner work to let go of it. And all along, we are still functioning in the matrix because what else is there? What else are you going to do? And I also know that, and I went through this phase myself a number of years ago where I was trying to unhook myself from the you know the governmental matrix. Um, I went through this whole thing where you become a U.S. what was it? A national. You become an American, a U.S. national. See, this is how far I don't really remember it, but there are steps you can take, and there's many people who teach classes in the whole legal system how you actually can pull out of certain parts of the matrix. It can be very helpful. I learned a lot. And I also noticed that this is not where my energy is at. I want to be free from the inside out. And, unhooking from things, very, very beautiful. But personally, like I say, it's different for everyone. I want to be free in here and let that live my life completely. So that's the step for me, to really say, yeah, I'm done with that. So I think I shared a little bit yesterday. When the matrix comes in again and it wants to tempt you, it tempts you with fear. Fear is its main course. And if, as long as we are afraid to let go of the matrix, we are totally, totally stuck in it because it is feeding us the food that will keep us stuck. And the food does not taste very good. So, working with the fear of saying no when something is absolutely not your truth. That could be that there are things going to be implemented on us from above, from on high, not the spiritual high, but from other highs in the matrix. And finding that place where you just know that this is not right for you anymore. And as we know, over the past 4 or 5 years, there was a lot of people who got in a lot of trouble for saying no to things that were being imposed on us. And a lot of people, they really went, went to jail or prison, and it was not an easy way. But when you are a pioneer, which I am kind of assuming most of us are here, we have to break through some of these barriers, and that will open it up for the next wave of souls or people to come through. But somebody has to be like at the forefront where we say, this is enough. I'm not going to do it. But it is not coming from a place of like, it could be, but it could show up like that, but it's coming from a place of deep soul connection. And that is so much more powerful than we get our fist up and, we start fighting and blaming and all that stuff. That there are people who need to go through that. That's all good. I'm not trying to tell anybody what's right for them. I'm finding out what is right and true for me. And then I can share some of that and see if anybody resonates with that. And if it makes sense, if it's helpful for you to become more free. So meeting the fears inside of us that come up when when we're facing these outer pressures and rules and regulations, that's where the work starts to become truly free, because the fear is what holds us imprisoned in the matrix. If we don't work through our fears, we're fully identified with it. But when we start releasing the fear by doing the deeper inner work, there's a new energy that arises because the energy is already there, but we have not been paying attention to it because we have been paying attention to the fear that's being imposed by the matrix, and then we have been out fighting it or running from it or whatever it is. But we are missing the most important part, and that is coming back to this energy of who we are, where the matrix cannot enter, because they're two different things. It's like oil and water. This is where we start living from. This is the energy we start moving into the world from and impacting the energies of the matrix, not because we're doing anything, because we are being it. So leaving the matrix is an internal process. It can be external too, absolutely. There's a lot of things we can do, and as long as we're moved to do that, let's do it. But at the same time, we do need to drop into our soul, our presence, our stillness, our heart, call it whatever you want. Your true I am presence. That is where you will find freedom. Nowhere else, not true freedom. True freedom is who we already are. We don't need to do anything to be who we are. We just need to stop moving away from it and pretending we're not that. So that's where most of the deep work, in my experience, is to clear out a lot of the rubble of fear, of anger, of wanting to fight, those in power. Come back here and let the power of who you are do the work. And I would say that those of us who do that, we bring the solution to what is needed on the planet, not because we're out there fighting it, although some may be out there fighting it while they're being present inside. I'm not saying you shouldn't do what you shouldn't do. It's like it comes from within. I'm not somebody who feels that movement to go out and do something like that. I used to do more of it in the past, but that's kind of all fallen away. For me, it's so important to be that pure energy that knows how to dissolve what anything unlike itself. And it knows how to do it because the light dissolves darkness. So this is how I would say, if we want to step out of the matrix, we need to know what we're stepping into. So you're not just stepping into another part of the matrix and think you're free, because you're not. We need to step back in here, in the stillness, in the presence, in the love, in the peace that we already are, that we forgot because we were programmed to identify with the matrix. Those days are over, and I invite you to do whatever you need to do to come back here and unhook everything. Yes, everything. It's a lot. It's a lot. But there is no other way, This, if you want full freedom, if you want part freedom, part-time freedom, you can go back and forth, but you're not really free, right? If you're only part-time free, you're not really free. So it is a big leap. Um, but what's the alternative? I hope this is a little bit inspiring for you to really start doing the deeper work if you are not already. And that is moving from the matrix mind, which is everything you see out there, and then move back. I always talk about the longing is a beautiful, beautiful doorway to go in and feel the longing and let that energy behind the longing take over. Let it have you, and stop letting the fear of the matrix have you. It's deep work, I know. But we can do it. We can do it.